So what's it going to take to get like a course catalog for Steve U?
I don't know yet.
What courses are offered? Obviously, you teach all of them.
80s pop culture is one of them.
That's awesome. I could teach the master's level of that one.
The 80s Saturday morning cartoons, that's an elective.
How about a quick fire course where you just throw out stuff and people have to identify it, and you would call it 80s HD?
Yeah, that sounds good. It's all 80s oriented. Yeah. There's
These are all good. I love 80s anything. I mean, you can't beat it. It's the best thing ever.
Well, that's the thing, is because everything is regurgitated. But what period of time in American history can you say that style has already been involved in what people were dressing like? That was its own thing at one time.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it didn't go back to the 50s. It didn't go back to, the 20s and 30s. There was none of that same style. The hairstyle was completely its own thing. The clothing was pretty much its whole thing.
It really didn't take anything from anywhere else.
No, it was its own thing.
The 60s was just kind of a run on the 50s. The 70s was almost a revolt. It was a continuation of the late 60s. Mm-hmm. The 80s was a revolt against everything. They went head-to-head and contrarian against literally every possible thing that had happened in the 50s, the 60s, the 70s. Culture, music.
The 80s had no meaning, kind of, in a way.
It was empty, but and it was. There was a lot of it that was empty, and it was playful, but it was fun. The 80s was a fun time.
I had bad times, but overall...
They pushed some limits. There were some limits that they pushed on things that now seem tame. But to those who had grown up with the Happy Days culture of the 50s and 60s, it was just, how dare you do such a thing? But, remember and this was a few years before we were old enough to really get it, but now looking back...
My head itches.
We can understand what it was like, I think. Because we were a few years past it, but we can look back and get the importance of it. Look at how revolutionary, like, the Breakfast Club was.
Yeah. I think cinema was really good. That was a really good time for, like, movies.
John Hughes was putting out a classic every 18 months.
And since then, everything's been, maybe even leaking into the 90s, but now, there's no ideas left. It seems like everything's just either being rehashed or done.
Yes. Well, look at their new ideas. Their new ideas are rebooting, and I hate that they're using that word all the time, rebooting the 80s.
It's not rebooting. It's because they are failing at the box office and they have to get hits, but they have to put something in there that makes the person that watched the original hate the new one, and probably hating the person that likes the new stuff. So.
Here's the best explanation that I saw from it. There was an executive that essentially said this, and I get this argument because it does make sense. He said that the reason why reboots are so popular, and we're seeing so many of them, is because they are using concepts that are already familiar. Mm-hmm. So you don't have to try to market everything and explain everything. It's already done. Mm-hmm. You just say, hey, here's Family Ties, but Michael J. Fox isn't in it anymore. This new 16-year-old kid is in it, but it's that show. And you go, oh, well, yeah, I really like Family Ties. Let's see if they butcher it. And you know what?
That's basically the only reason to watch it.
They're probably going to butcher it. Now, it would not be right to say Michael J. Fox is in it. Oh, wow, they really shook things up. It's not right to say that, and I will not sit here and listen to anyone say that. That's morally wrong.
They shook things up.
It's morally wrong, Steve. It's completely wrong. And I will not sit here and listen to such absolute foolishness.
Oh, Mr. Belvedere. That was a pretty decent show, I guess.
Did you just reference Mr. Belvedere? Are you kidding me?
It's so old.
Man, Mr. Belvedere's...
wasn't bad. It was different. What other show? What, Benson maybe was the other one like that? Other shows based on a butler. Like maybe Alfred Hitchcock Presents or something. I don't know.
The character of Belvedere, like the Belvedere character, is nothing... That was nothing new. That had happened before.
But it never really got its own
But
spin.
Using that name... There were, I think, movies. But this was using that character by name, putting him in the title of the work. And he was personable, and you really focused on him progressing into a family instead of doing a 90-minute standalone film.
Small Wonder. What about that? You watch that?
Oh, boy.
That chick's actually kind of hot now.
Who is?
Small Wonder Girl.
I don't remember her.
So we're about to revisit.
The Israeli military just said they are currently targeting Iranian targets in Syria.
Sounds good.
That means on the offensive. Oh, go on. Just destroy everything. I mean, literally, just destroy anything that moves. I don't care.
This thing reads my mind. We already know it does, but...
Oh, no, it doesn't read your mind. It reads your lips, Steve. It listens to everything you're saying. But yeah, that's not true. I think it's got an algorithm that picks up certain words. Because if it literally listened to everything we said, there's no telling what would come up on my suggested ads on Instagram.
I'd have a lot of weirdness.
As opposed to all the perfectly normal stuff you've got going on now.
Oh, nothing.
I don't have that high pass filter on.
She's not as hot as I thought she was. Go away, girl. I don't want you.
Let's try that. Is that sounds...
Sounds good.
That sounds...
Had a little bit more...
I like it. I like it warmer right there. I like it. I like that low cut filter on because it's a little warmer. The problem with microphones that are not like $300 microphones is whenever you get down into the bass range, when you need the sound to be a little warmer, it's not there. So I think if I use a low cut filter, it'll bring that up a little bit more, and then I can control the other stuff in EQ.
That's pretty funny. That's something for Dave. It says, when you forgot to text your hose, but remember, you don't got no hose. That sucks. That's me right there.
Alrighty, let's get this. I've got something to send you. Then we'll see what is shaking on this cool May evening.
Are you just gonna think about
Gotta think about what?
Marty McFly all day, or what's shaking?
Oh my gosh! You know what his favorite Elvis Presley song is, don't you?
What?
All Shook Up.
All shook up. That's horrible.
All right, that's
probably gonna happen to me now.
That's obviously not the one I was gonna send. I've got so many memes.
I'd be the dude with MS that's just trying to get laid all the time.
All right, I'll send you this. I'll send you this one because you have to be at least somewhat competent in history, which most people right now are not, to understand it. But I will send you this, and you instantly will get it. You will get this.
I hope so.
Most will not. Just read it as you get it.
Oh, you're sending it to me. I was listening to hear.
Yeah.
I was like, audio. Where?
Yeah. Read
Come
it.
on, man.
Read
Where's
it
at?
as you see it.
It's gonna bing me on my little messenger.
I think you will.
Brad,
I think you'll enjoy this.
Let me. When your German classmate starts getting friendly with the Japanese exchange student. That's horrible.
Yeah, you don't see a lot of World War II humor.
I like the eyes though. They're kamikazes. They kind of look like that, don't they?
Who's they?
The other side. I like that though. It's pretty good. Did you make that?
I did not make that.
No.
If I made it, it'd have a picture of Dave and probably Ichiro Suzuki from the Mariners.
Dave.
Well, he's German.
He looks German.
He's German.
Yeah, he looks.
I've seen him whenever his footwork isn't real good. Sometimes he does a little high stepping, and we don't need to see that.
Yeah,
I get a little nervous. Yeah, I'm really glad that Tammy is not Polish, because if he was invading,
I don't know.
Poland,
I may have to debate that.
If he was invading Poland,
what's Tammy's last name before Markert?
Garrett.
She's English, probably.
Yeah, that's my guess.
Garret.
We could call and ask. Like, we've got it set up right now.
You can. That sounds good to me.
And actually, what we'll do is we'll just ambush them whenever they come in to do our new segment, which we'll talk about tonight. Because we've got a lot to talk about tonight.
Here's that. Iranian force launches missiles at Golan. Syria says intercepted rockets. So I guess they supposedly intercepted it.
Here's a good rule of thumb, by the way. Anytime they say they intercepted stuff, that means they got hit full force.
That means it's like lodged in one of their bunkers.
Yeah, they got... It's all of them act like... Remember the Iraqi information minister when we first went over there in 03, 04?
Yeah.
And he kept saying the Americans aren't here, and they were literally outside the door. Oh, gosh.
Oh.
Well, that is the world in which we live now. And remember, that was like... We went into Iraq 15 years ago. Mm-hmm. And how's everything different right now? Yeah, it's not.
Well, it's not any cheaper. I remember this band. You played this last time. They're English.
They are unknown. You can't really find any information on them.
This sounds, like I said, it sounds a lot like
Fleetwood Mac.
Fleetwood Mac.
It's the 126ers.
Yeah, we were talking about that before.
End of summer. And this is episode 10 of Apex Live.
English people aren't allowed to talk about summer. They don't have it.
Or dental care, but again, beside the point. I'm Brad, that's Steve.
Hello.
We're back. You know, this is kind of weird to say. But,
actually means something now. We're back.
Yeah, we are. We are back. Here's the best part of this, though. We're recording this on a cool evening in early May of 2018, and it's beautiful outside.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
The problem is we literally lasted all through the winter and didn't get to record an episode. So this is our first episode of 2018. So a 17 or 18 week late, belated Happy New Year, everyone.
Yeah.
I hope all of
happy birthdays and wherever else.
Happy birthdays and holidays, because we recorded before Christmas. Mm-hmm. And let's see, what else did we miss? I hope all of your failed resolutions didn't break you mentally too much wherever you may be listening. Failed. But the big thing is downloading, streaming, wherever and however you may be listening. Thanks for joining us for episode 10. We're going to be much more regular. We're going to have some digital Metamucil.
I've been drinking more. So.
Yeah, and we're going to be more regular and start bringing you episodes on a regular basis now, because we got a lot to talk about, because a lot has been going on. And it seems like 2018 has been off to a rousing start in the first 13 or 14 weeks. A little bit of business to take care of. First, obviously, if you've found us, you're listening to us most likely from our website. You can find that at apexlive.fireside.fm. It's got episode pages for every single episode. Everything is sortable by guests. There are episode descriptions, a resources page. There's a highlights page for highlights of a few episodes that we've done in the past, some of the interviews, us ranting about Varsity Blues and how terrible one of the actors is. A lot of different things. Oh, it's terrible. The barbecue scene.
Go for a long one, son.
Toss me one, son. Richard Lineback. Boy, if he ever hears this show, he's going to be so angry.
It was like him and Bill Paxton. I know Bill Paxton's dead, but still.
Yes, he is.
They were similar acting. Yeah.
Yeah, but Bill Paxton on occasion could pull off an accent somewhat. This guy, it wasn't close. And I thought maybe, okay, this was
Randy Travis's stunt double. He looks just like him.
The only difference is he doesn't sound like somebody punched him right in the bridge of the nose all the time, like Randy Travis did.
Call my 4-year-old all the time. He speaks through his nose. I'm like, all right, Randy Travis.
Well, I wonder.
Randy Travis.
Well, Randy doesn't say a whole lot of anything now.
No.
After the strokes and the drinking and the arrests, he really doesn't have a lot to say. But even
strokes and the drinking and arrests.
Even beforehand, I always kind of wondered, did he have a normal speaking voice at first? And he sounded almost broadcast-esque. And then one day somebody just hit him in the face with a bat. And he just went, oh my gosh.
Oh,
my name is Randy Travis.
Oh, man, I've got to go sing in 15 minutes. What am I going to do?
He's kind of, I think he's always, where's he from, Tennessee or Kentucky?
Smart money says Tennessee, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Ricky Skaggs was from Kentucky.
Yeah. Nitty Gritty Dirt Band.
Man, you're referencing some good stuff. I love the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band.
It's good stuff.
That was 80s country, and I can listen to 80s country.
80s country's good.
Early 90s country, I can deal with up to a certain point. Alabama, anytime I can listen to. I can deal with any of Alabama.
Garth Brooks in the 90s, he's about the only one I could really deal with.
Some of it's pretty good. George Strait was legit country the entire time. He was always good. I'll give you an 80s country one. I'll go full-fledged
Dwight Yoakam's
80s.
a good one, too, from 90s.
Dwight Yoakam, not only a musician, great
good actor.
Great in Sling Blade.
He was really good in the Crank movies, too.
What was his name? Doyle?
Doyle, yeah.
Doyle's goes in and wants some ice in a bowl and some chips, and then just gets in a fight and beats everybody up.
Doyle.
And then ends up dead. Spoiler alert for those of you who haven't seen Sling Blade, since it came out in 96.
I haven't watched Sling Blade.
Oh, it's a great movie.
Because too many people are like talking about taters and mustard.
Oh, I know.
And I don't like them, so I can't let any joy from somebody I don't like enter my body. I can't feel joy from somebody else's. If I don't like you that much, I won't do it.
Well, that's fair. I can understand that.
All the Scarface was a good movie.
How did we go from giving the web address to getting to this?
My fault.
And I don't know. There's no fault. I'm just not real sure. I'll have to go back and listen to it and find out how we got here.
I haven't taken my pills since I've talked to you.
Those pills could be any different kinds. Let's see here. If you want to find us on social media, you can. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just look for us at Apex Live Podcast. If you want to send us email, audio commentary, anything of the sort, you can do that, apexlivepodcast@gmail.com. We're going to do some other stuff. We're going to do Patreon. We're going to do Snapchat. But quite honestly, we're just kind of getting back into the flow of things because we've been extremely busy, and most of the time not even with good things.
Anything that we want to do, really.
Oh, goodness, no. Oh, goodness. The last 72 hours for me have been an absolute nightmare for any number of reasons, which we'll get to in a little bit. But, Steve, what's been going on with you? Because it's gone from a December that was... Okay, the last episode we did, we were talking about the fights that were coming up. Miguel Cotto had just fought, so we talked about that. We talked to Justin Novaria about all the lunacy going on at a fight he was supposed to.
Oh yeah,
he was supposed to have all that idiocy down in Williamson, which, by the way, it's gotten no better. So all that stuff happens, and we talk about some fights coming up, and then we get to the turn of the year, and everything just goes completely off the rails, and that's where we are now. So what have you been up to?
I think I have that remote from that movie Click on if you ever watched the movie. But I really don't.
David Hasselhoff's in that.
I really don't.
Isn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, because I think somebody pauses it and then somebody hits him. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's Hasselhoff.
I don't think I've been doing anything the whole time. Literally, it's kind of...
You just don't know where all the time went?
I just don't know how the time goes that fast. I mean, granted, we have long days. Yet a lot of the other pieces aren't there for it, to really be a nice, fulfilling lifetime. But, unfortunately, things like work and life balance, it just sucks. Because, we're wasting our lives doing things to pay one percenters, and, we kind of forget where we're at.
Well, we're the widest part of the pyramid down at the base.
We're going to die.
So we drive the bus.
We're going to die.
I mean, I think I really do kind of echo that sentiment, especially recently, because... like I said, we are in early May. For those keeping track at home, we're recording this on May 9th.
It's been a long December.
So, I wonder if I have that on here.
It's a good song.
It is a good... Oh, Counting Crows.
Can't beat them.
Vintage 90s. But I go back and I think about it, and I think, okay, we've gone through roughly 16, 17 weeks of 2018. And it's not an accomplishment thing of saying, okay, what do I have to show for it? But it's... Where did all of it go? It doesn't seem like we should be here, and yet we are. And I know that that's a thing that you get to when you start getting just a little bit older. And we're not old, even though sometimes we feel old. But as you get a little bit older, time doesn't fly. It doesn't go as slowly as it once did.
There was a time.
The school year went on forever when we were in grade school, and even up until high school. This is never going to go away. Mm-hmm. And now... You blink and months have gone by, and it's not just perception. I really do think that there is a reality to that in some way.
It's weird.
But I couldn't explain it. If you paid me, I couldn't give you an explanation. It's just, there's a lot to digest, and I think it's different when you're in the middle of it, but when you have those periodic moments every so often that you realize it, and you kind of open your eyes for a second and go, what do you mean it's May?
It's weird, yeah.
What do you mean it's almost summer? That doesn't make any sense. And that the song we used as the intro tonight, and it's probably going to be our new entrance music, is End of Summer by the 126ers. Before long, it's going to be the end of summer.
Yeah.
It's going to be here. And it's not even started yet. But it's going to be here. Baseball season's already here. My favorite time of year. I've already been to Atlanta once this year, which was a fantastic trip, and got to scratch something off of my sports bucket list as a result of this trip, which was a lot of fun. I got to see the Braves win at home in a walk-off and come back from down 3-0 in the 8th inning and came back to win it in the bottom of the 9th. It was just tremendous. But even that already, that trip seems like it was a month ago, and it was only 3 weeks. I mean, it's blowing by like crazy. But, I mean, has anything of note happened at all that you even remember, or has it just kind of been you blink and look up and go, oh well there that is?
Nothing remarkable. I mean, I'm just like, I guess the self-finding aspect of things, but I don't know. It's a gray. It's like everything's gray right now. I just don't know what's going on. You know what I mean? It's kind of weird.
That's a tough feeling.
Yeah, it's weird.
Whenever you can describe a feeling with a color, it's never good. Gray is never good. Blue is never good. Red usually means you're bleeding or you're a communist. So that's no good. And that's fitting that I bring that up because we just had some local and state elections yesterday.
Oh, it's so embarrassing watching their commercials.
Hey, at least that's over with for the
I
next
thought the
couple of
pallbearer
months.
was dead. Is he dead?
You think that Don Blankenship looks like Paul Bearer?
Exactly. If you put a little bit of white makeup on his face.
Oh, he looks just like him. The only thing he doesn't have,
You gotta get him. Woo!
his campaign ads would be so much funnier if he had Paul Bearer's voice and could
I would vote. I don't even believe in voting
anymore.
personally,
Not anymore
at all anymore. But I would vote for him just because he reminded me of a happy time in my childhood when I watched the Royal Rumble and some weird guy holding an urn. He could bring me back to a childhood spot. I would do that. I would hire him, like if whatever. But he's a billionaire making crappy stuff. You know what I mean?
He's a billionaire that has basically decided I'm invincible.
Yeah, pretty much.
I can do as I please.
Yep.
And obviously, you don't run unless you think you're going to win. Unless you've got some other twisted reason to try to be visible and turn that into something else. Which, believe me, plenty of megalomaniacs do. They want to go out there and say, I ran for office or whatever.
That's not a word that's thrown out enough.
What, megalomaniac?
You don't hear it enough. I don't think people understand it enough.
People top out at the definition of egomaniac, and they think there's not
there's
anything
things.
above that. Well,
When you think you're God, or you can represent God and His Word, or anything else, and with anything other than God being with you, if there's any kind of ego involved, that's what I take it as.
when you make God about you, or you make yourself God, that takes egomania and adds in, just a few spoonfuls of sociopath.
You need to know how to speak to your dad.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yes, pretty much. And when you combine egomania and sociopath, that's how you get megalomania.
Yeah.
And there are people who would absolutely right now say that we elected one as president. And I say, if you think that's what a sociopath is, if you think that's what a megalomaniac is, you're crazy. Hitler was the epitome of that. I'm not seeing anybody dead as a result of Donald Trump. And I know there are people who immediately, I'm turning this off. I'm not listening to this pro-Trump stuff.
Talking about it, man.
When are people going to learn the reality of politics, the reality of society at this point? And that is, we have a two-party system, which, by the way, is the first mistake.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, there are vast majorities of that, but I mean, it's not represented.
No, it's not, and that's not representative of who the country is. But what cracks me up and makes me sad at the same time is that we have all of this going on, and you have the Democrats fighting the Republicans tooth and nail on party lines, just cracking heads with each other because of how different they are. And how diametrical, polar opposites they are on every issue. And then whenever you do your research and you read their voting records and you see what's actually happening in Washington, you start to realize that the difference between them is very, very small.
Nothing. They're just liars.
All they do is they take the time to listen to the constituents long enough to hear what they care about, and then they'll kick the can down the road just so they can say, well, I'm going to run on this issue, I'll get elected, and then do nothing for the next 4 years. And then when it comes time to be reelected again, I know what talking points to hit, and then I can point to the other side of the aisle and say, well, it's those people over there that, that's why we didn't get anything done on these issues. Yeah. And then it's the extremism that is obviously completely false. It's the straw man arguments. It's the ones who jump up and say, well, I'm up here to stand up for and defend the elderly and the kids, and I'm for education and health care. And they say that as if their opponent wants all children and old people to die, and no one should have any type of health care ever. And you want to just choke the life out of these people. And that is why I think more and more people, maybe without even knowing it, I don't even think they're doing it consciously, more and more people are getting funneled into that libertarian area.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe not the nominal libertarian party with that exact ideology and registering that way and supporting the candidates, but they're going that way just in terms of saying, you know what? I want my country to defend me. I want them to handle federal questions, and I otherwise just want to be left alone.
I think that pretty much would be vast majority of the population, really.
But isn't that how we were designed?
That's
Isn't
how
that
it's supposed
what
to be, yeah.
the Constitution, the Founding Fathers all said the same thing? Small, centralized government. That's why the amendment exists in the set of 20-plus amendments, or however many there are now.
A bunch now. Yeah.
That's why the amendment exists that says, and people will complain because I didn't know the exact number. Well, I got a lot on my mind, people.
No, they'd be all right. Who cares?
But you think about it, and it says, it goes back to the issue of states' rights, and says if it's not a federal question, the federal government needs to be out of it. Well, that's how it should be. That's how I want it. That's how you want it. That's not how it is. The federal government wants to have absolutely everything decided by them, because when they do that, they cede power, they take care of everything, and everyone stays under their thumb.
Yeah, take is the main word there.
Look at the biggest argument of the last 5 years that we have seen fought in the Supreme Court, and it was the issue of homosexual marriage.
Yeah.
People, before you start sending emails, before you start tweeting, or blocking me, or blocking Steve, or getting all angry.
Why would you want to be married in the first place? I don't care if you're marrying a goat or your hat. If you think that you should have the state to decide or dictate whatever your relationship is, and you're dumb enough to enter in that, then please do. I don't care. But yeah.
We know Steve doesn't care.
I don't care about that.
This is my statement on it. Just in terms of the legality of it and all of those things that were fought going to the Supreme Court and trying to make all these decisions. Here's my simple statement on it. Marriage is something that would not exist without religion.
Yes.
It was a religious institution. So for all the people who scream and scream and scream and scream and scream about separation of church and state, by the way, that is never actually said in the First Amendment. They all cite that in the First Amendment. Yeah, it's not there. But they scream about separation of church and state. I would like to see the separation of state and church. Stop telling the church how to do that.
Yep.
I happen to think that if it is a religious issue, that maybe the government shouldn't have a dog in the hunt. The only reason the government is involved in marriage at all is for the issuing of marriage licenses for the purposes of taxation. Well, my stance on taxation is pretty well known. When it comes to income taxes, it's theft.
Yeah.
Tax consumption, you don't tax income, they're stealing your money. That's not right. So I don't think that the government, federal or otherwise, should have anything to do with it. Now, on a state basis, that's something that should be governed by the people. It should be governed at the level that is closest to the ones whom it will govern. So the states should have something to say about it. And if you live in a state where that's not legal, well, then go elsewhere. If you live in a state where it is legal, okay, that state has made it legal. Because the more that you have things decided by the federal government and not the state government, not the local governments, whoever, the more that you have issues decided by the federal governments, you are literally eliminating the whole purpose of having states.
Yeah.
Why even have a state? Why not just be like every other country, where everything is the same across the board?
It's like mom and dad. Mom says no, so you go to dad or this or that, you know.
Well, look what that comes back to every time. It comes back to having daddy government and having them doing everything they can to make sure you don't bite the hand that feeds you.
Yeah, they don't feed me.
Well, no, because you still have the audacity to feed yourself.
Well, it's just the whole fact of it. I mean, I don't know. Just, we're going back to the political spectrum of this is people that believe all these things you were talking about, like, oh, the kids' schools, healthcare, this and that. People, no homelessness, feeding, and this and that.
Right.
You're talking about wanting to choke the politicians to do that. It's more so the people that are still there, standing there in line, believing everything they say, and still saying that they're part of a bigger picture, but they're so involved in a small picture that's such a lie. It's been a lie their whole lives. And they're, in their 50s, 60s, 70s, whatever you want to say. They're embarrassing. They're embarrassing to me.
Steve, hold that thought.
Yeah.
I'm getting messages right now from our good friend Dave Markert. And he's asking a question. Now, we were just referencing Dave, just talking about Dave before we went live. So, because he's doing this...
Had nothing to do with hair products at all.
No, not at all. No, Peroxide Sun.
Peroxide Sun.
He has got to start a band and call it Peroxide Sun. So what we're going to do, without him having any idea of what's going on, we're going to call him and ambush him for absolutely no reason. So whatever it is he wants to ask me, he can ask me live, and then I'm going to tell him he's on the podcast. Okay,
so I shouldn't say anything.
Oh no, you should say whatever you want, by all means, because we're just going to have fun with this. Because then we're going to start asking him about invading Poland. All right, here we go.
He doesn't watch the news anyway, so he'll believe it.
He doesn't know what's going on. So let's call Dave. It's live. Here we go. He better answer.
He never answers my calls.
Hey, what's up, buddy?
Eden, what's up?
Well, we're currently recording an episode of Apex Live, and you interrupted us in our recording process, so we're going to call you and interrupt you during your eating, sir.
Thanks a lot, Dave.
All right.
Okay, so what was your question that you had? What was going on?
Do you have my transcript by chance?
Do I have your transcript? I do not have it printed yet, but I do have everything ready. I just have to set up the printer so it can print it the right way.
Okay.
Okay, and we did have a question. We were trying to figure something out earlier, so you're going to have to help us understand this because we don't have all of the information.
What?
Are you eating an egg roll?
I'm eating a gyro.
A gyro. Ooh, and pronounced it correctly. Well done. Where'd you get the gyro from, Angelo's?
No, Arby's, quick.
Oh, okay. That's not so bad.
It's not a real gyro.
It ain't bad.
I'd eat it.
So we need to know something. Obviously, your last name is Markert. You are of, and plus you're pretty aggressive as a person.
Yes.
You are obviously of German heritage. We needed to know, is Tammy from Poland?
Well, I'm not sure. Yeah.
I hate you guys so much.
We're not
I
on
don't know, she's
speakerphone,
from-
are we?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that was
Yeah, you put me on.
Hi, Tammy.
I hate you.
I don't know if she's from Poland, but I did come around and invade her from the rear. And I'm in trouble.
See, well, you should be in trouble. Again, you know why? We were asking for a reason because we had a meme earlier
Okay.
that was pretty interesting, and it's one of those memes where the cartoon character has just seen something that they believe to be sketchy, and they have the two facial expressions, and it says when what is it when your German friends start to get friendly with the Japanese exchange students? Yeah, it's pretty good. So we just we're referencing some World War II stuff, so we just wanted to get some clarification because you are the most German that we know.
Extra German.
Except I was born here, raised here.
Yeah, that's a good point. We need that's what you
East
are.
Coast.
So you still blitzkrieg everywhere, though, so it's all good.
Look,
I think you really said it perfectly, though. You're extra German.
that might be.
Yeah, you're extra German.
I'm just lucky. I've got all the recessive German.
Now, you're not double German because you've got the hair, but you've only got one of the two eyes.
Well, technically, green and blue are still recessive. They're the good stuff.
Is there something wrong with that weird eye?
No.
It's half
What's wrong
half
with
Malamute
that
husky.
weird eye?
You get a Malamute
What did you
eye.
say?
Go ahead and tell him, Steve. What'd you say?
It's half Malamute husky. You're half Malamute husky.
Actually, that's too handsome of a dog.
Okay, so what dog do you think you are? Is this one of the questions we're going to look for? If you were a dog, what kind of dog are you?
I'm a boxer, of course.
Okay, that's a little too much.
That's a little too on the nose, to be perfectly
For a
honest.
couple reasons, not just a name.
Okay, well,
They bite air and they're stupid.
And you also have your ears cropped.
I do. Now. How you doing, Steve?
Hanging
Where you
out.
been?
I don't know. We were actually just talking about that.
You don't know.
Have you ever watched that movie Click before?
No, but I have tried peyote.
That might have been.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I don't know where the fuck I've been.
Well, that just took a nice hard left turn into
That's what I do.
hallucinogens.
I ain't been in any strange. That's Stephanie. She'll tell you.
You know, we always seem to bring Stephanie into the discussion at some point, and she's never here. But she always listens. Steph, thanks for listening, sweetheart. I appreciate it.
You got to bring her in. You got to bring her there.
That's going to happen soon enough. We've got quite a few episodes in store here in the very near future. We'll bring her in and let her exact her audio revenge.
Oh,
Well,
gosh.
I think it just needs to be stated that, yes, we have picked on her and just made fun of the stereotype wife, but not really her. So don't be too angry at me.
And by the way, stop it with this we business.
I'm trying to spread
I'm
the attention here, okay?
I
Help me out.
am out. Don't bring me into this. I am not going to
Actually,
incur
yeah.
the wrath of Steve's fiance. I'm not going to do that.
Oh, Dave, whenever you call her a shrew and you're like,
I did not call her. I was joking. Oh, God.
I know that, but I knew you'd say that. But
And even Steve wasn't in on that, so that's technically all on me.
hey, guess what? But it's okay because it was all on me.
Unfortunately, yeah.
What a great title for a book. It's all on me.
I died for your sins against Stephanie, so she killed me once or twice. No pun intended.
No pun intended.
No pun
Yes.
intended.
We don't have a video portion of this show, so Steve was immediately like, hands up. It was hands up, don't shoot, but it actually happened this time instead of somebody saying that it happened.
So Stephanie just texted me, and she says...
This ain't a lie.
So it starts out, so don't hate me, and I said, you fuck me, huh? And then
Don't hate us.
We've got play-by-play going on of an exchange with Steve and Steph, so this is going to be good. I'm gonna kick back and listen to this.
so she says accidentally, and I said, how? I dropped the fries and only have a few left. I could save.
Oh, my. She dropped the fries.
Dude, she dropped my fries from the omelet shop. We have alphabet fries here at the house I can make.
That's a hefty bounty right there.
So I'm just basically telling her I don't want alphabet fries. We have those little kids' alphabet fries at the house, but yeah, she screwed me because as a vegan, that I don't tell everybody anymore because I'm not trying to be that guy. Five Guys fries are the awesomest fries ever.
If you start telling everyone that you're doing that you're doing the whole vegan thing, I think this is federal law. I don't know if it's federal law or if it's just state law. You then have to start doing CrossFit.
I will not do CrossFit.
Well, then we're going to have to do something about this whole vegan foolishness. I made a delicious
yoga.
slow.
I want to see Steve do yoga.
I did a nice.
I like to go just do yoga because there's no other guys there.
I cooked a nice chuck roast in the slow cooker, tavern style. One of the greatest giant chunks of meat that you
Smells
could
great.
cook.
Steve looks a big chunk of meat.
Captain Vegan. I'm out. I can't. Does anyone have any Brussels sprouts and eggplant that I can cook up? What an insult.
Dude, I used to make roasts at home all the time. I love them.
Giant
That's like my
mushroom
favorite
steak.
mushroom steak. Hey, dude, that sounds horrible, but actually, I did make a mushroom burger with the buns being the mushrooms.
Those are two words that don't go together.
All right, that kind of sounds good.
It was
portobello.
they were portobello buns. Portobello
It was
buns,
bun
man.
that was mushroom, and then mushroom in the middle.
Yes, mushroom sauce that I had a faux patty of some sort, but it was very good.
That is the worst sitcom that Fox had on about 20 years ago. Mushroom in the Middle. It was
Mushroom
terrible.
in the Middle.
It was terrible. It was bland and it was boring, and I had no use for it.
Mushroom in the middle.
And then that kid that was in it
I
had.
have one question though.
Then
Why
the kid
didn't
that
you
was
just
in it had a
eat
stroke, and now he's not in it anymore.
Did somebody have a stroke?
Yeah,
Oh,
the kid that was on Malcolm in the Middle. Yeah, he had a stroke. He's
Frankie
not
Muniz?
Yeah, he's not
Which
acting
one?
anymore.
There's three.
Frankie Muniz.
Yeah.
His ears are way lower than his eyes, which is a sign of something I forget.
Yeah, he had a stroke. That's what that is.
He had a double stroke.
It's a developmental issue.
Okay, now you said you had a question, so what's your question?
Oh, it was since he had a mushroom bun and a mushroom patty, why didn't he just eat a damn mushroom?
Steve, that's all on you, sir.
Well, I did because that mushroom was cut in half, and I put the fake meat patty in there, and it was pretty
All
damn
right,
good.
I'm sorry. I thought you meant you put like a mushroom in the
Dude,
middle.
it was a burger with a mushroom as a bun.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense to me. Thank God.
It doesn't make it. It doesn't make it any more palatable, but it certainly
I
does
could
make
serve
more
you
sense.
that, and you would like it. I'm telling you. Serve it.
I'll serve you my mushroom.
I'll serve you my mushroom. There you go.
Well, that didn't.
And on that, boys, you have a good night. I look forward to this one
That
tomorrow.
didn't take long to go completely wrong, did it? Dave, thanks for joining us, sir.
No problem, guys.
All right.
Always a pleasure.
All right, later, buddy.
Bye,
Have
man.
fun, folks. Peace.
Hey, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
Yes.
Well, that wasn't planned, but that's why we ambush people.
I like that, though.
What, the ambush?
We should do it to Stephanie.
The ambush guests?
It would be no good because she'd cuss us out. My kids would be yelling in the background.
Okay, see, here we go again. She would not cuss us out.
Well, technically, I wouldn't be able to do that unless you were involved.
funny-
you get 50, at least 50% of that.
I don't know. I have heard her angrily scream, "You son of a bitch," at you. I have heard that verbatim.
We do. See, you have to do that though.
That was so funny. But,
You
that
can't-
keeps things fun and fresh because it was obviously not a major, overly serious issue, so it turned out okay. But, man, I laughed so hard at that for so long.
Sometimes you have to poke the nest enough to where you just get a little sting.
Yeah.
I try to get a little sting every day. Just like, why are you leaving this on the floor? How lazy are you? Just keep on talking about it until I get yelled at.
So it keeps things lively. It keeps people on their toes and a little energy in the room.
I'm the asshole uncle of the world. I try. I try
All
that.
right, I've got to make a note of that.
I do that.
I've got to make a note. That's brilliant.
All the kids in my family all love and hate me at the same time because I pick on them all individually, and they don't realize how much I actually love them.
Sure.
Because it's not a broad spectrum. They all have their own little thing what I make fun of them about.
Well, we're going to take a little break for just a second, and when we come back, we've got a couple things to talk about. We've got a little bit of boxing stuff to talk about. We've got some Middle East news that's going on literally as we speak right now to talk about. And, Steve,
Yes.
we have another Virginia Tech update that we will get to when we come back with the second half of episode 10 of Apex Live right after this.
Hills presents Intellivision, intelligent television by Mattel. More sophisticated than any video game that has come before, providing hours of entertainment for the entire family. Intellivision, with one of the clearest game displays available today. Find this system, plus a complete line of sports and video game cassettes at Hills, where our game is low prices every day.
It's actually what my whistle call looks like.
Episode 10 of Apex Live rolls on, second half of the program. I'm Brad, that's Steve.
Is that a whistle?
That is not a whistle, that's a pencil holder. Maybe it is a whistle.
It is a whistle.
That was at my grandparents' house for years. Well,
That's cool.
creepy.
That's awesome.
Really didn't,
I knew it was a whistle. I could tell just by looking at it.
I really didn't expect we were going to start.
Okay, my bad.
I didn't expect we were going to start the show with that.
That's a Mayan style whistle.
That's weird. I don't know where that came
It's a
from.
South American style whistle.
That legitimately, this was at my grandparents' house for decades. I don't know where it came from.
It's probably an original piece, dude. That's probably an original whistle.
See, here's the thing. I probably could take this
And smash it.
on the. I could take this to Antiques Roadshow and retire.
Hey, Mike, give me that whistle. That's $1 million whistle.
You know, the
believe it.
little movement you just made, hand and head related, is why we don't have a video component for the show.
I saw my girlfriend do that one time. I just was
That's fantastic.
just once.
Oh, we're just going to hash mark how many times you make Stephanie.
I like opened my eye up just a little bit. Like, who's that? Oh, see who that is.
Oh my. Okay, we've got a lot going on. We've got a lot to talk about. First of all,
Clicking your heels doesn't work ever.
are we sure?
I'm sure. I've tried it.
Steve, you were watching your oldest son play baseball before you got here.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Reminds me so much of Bryce Harper. It's awesome.
Oh, that's horrible. Oh, God. So he's going to get that Summer's Eve sponsorship. Is that what you're saying?
He should. You know what? He likes basketball enough to say, I'm wearing Stephen Curry shoes. He likes those.
Right.
He does not have a favorite baseball player, which his swing at one time last year looked a lot like Griffey.
Right.
And I was like, that's cool. But, of course, the evil doers that be his other side of the family decided that I thought it looked good, and he was swinging like that, so it was wrong.
Oh, well, of course it is.
It was wrong.
Don't you get sick of that? Ignorance and stupidity.
Sick enough to maybe commit an ethnic cleansing of their last name.
That was almost actionable, but it wasn't. So I think that's a good thing.
It's okay.
But he's doing well. He enjoys playing baseball. He's good at it. You showed me some clips before we started recording.
Good. For an 8-year-old, he's pretty good, dude. And it's whatever. There's a couple kids on his team that are they don't like baseball. There's a couple that do, but he's responsible for, if they score 10 runs a game, probably 5 or 6 of them.
But think about it. We're still in that time.
But then again, you have to have people on base, so I'm saying, yeah.
Well, I'm glad that this is the case still, but it's still a rite of passage just about that you're going to play baseball as a kid.
That's cool, though. He still is able to do that.
Sure.
Yeah.
I remember, I've seen this online. It is true. I did the research and found that it was true. In the 30s and 40s, when they were designing hand grenades, they specifically designed them the shape and the size of a baseball. Mm-hmm. And the reason was, they said straight out that every young American man should know how to throw a baseball. So this should be an easy, natural act for them to do that. And I thought, that's true. But nobody ever picks up a hand grenade and throws a 92-mile-an-hour slider in the dirt and bounces it into somebody.
But the accuracy and the idea behind it, the way they teach you to throw a grenade is stupid.
See, I've never done that. You've done that. Do they do that in basic?
Oh, not basic. They don't do that. They did it in AIT, which was, a specialized training for whatever.
Sure.
Because, with the Air Force, you're not going to get too many people throwing grenades. It's just how it is.
Well, in the Air Force, I hope not.
So basically, you have to hold it completely to your chest with 2 hands gripping, one over the other, kind of like holding a golf club.
Okay.
You would pull the pin. So then you have it in your hand. You have the release and the spoon and all that stuff. You take it in your hand from your chest area because they want you to hold it tight. You put it in your dominant hand, standing bladed. Kind of rear back like you're going to throw a wild punch. Guiding with your other hand. And kind of like a moonsault over.
Right, go over the top.
It's kind of dumb. That's not how I like to throw. If I'm going to throw a grenade at you, I'm probably going to hit you in the back with it.
Yeah, 90% of the people who ever get to a point where they're going to throw a grenade, they're not going to immediately revert back to their training and start doing a yoga pose and then tilt and throw over. No, they're going to pull the pin, let it fly, and then run.
This is
like
3 pounds of metal. So if I hit you with it, it's going to hurt.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And then
that's going to hurt no matter what. And then shrapnel.
I blew my butt off. Probably going to blow your butt off, too. Thin Red Line. Have you ever watched it?
I've not seen Thin Red Line.
It's one of the best movie quotes or best movie dialogue is when Woody Harrelson sits on a grenade because somebody else pulled it. I blew my butt off. And he's just like, I ain't gonna die, am I? And he just dies.
I do need to clarify something from the first segment of the show. Did we really just ambush Dave?
Yeah, you did it. It was you. We cold called him.
And cold calling? Yeah, I think we did that.
Like Dave.
Yeah, that is probably one of the best interview styles, though, is just call someone unsuspecting and let it fly and see what happens.
When it's just like, I knew he was eating a food shaped like a dick, just by the way he was talking. I was like...
Why did he have us on speakerphone?
I don't know.
Why would you ever put either one of us on speakerphone? We didn't have him on speakerphone. We have him being broadcast to the world. But if we weren't recording this, we wouldn't have put him on speakerphone.
No.
There is no reason to do that.
That's actually a disclaimer that most of the family members I say... You don't have me on speakerphone, do you? Like, dude, we would never put you on speakerphone.
You know what? I think I just figured out Dave's ring name for his next fight.
Huh.
Instead of a name, it's going to be an acronym. NSFW.
What is that?
Not safe for work.
Not safe for work.
I think that'll be fitting for him. Because really, the stuff that comes out of his mouth, the things he talks about, it's not palatable for ever. Could you ever see him doing an interview on a show on ABC?
Call him the Hebrew Hammer.
Yeah, he could not be less Jewish.
I know, that's the whole, it's tongue-in-cheek, because he's German.
And you know what else? Thank you for the brutal, if not unexpected, segue. And I've been following, during the break and throughout the show, really, I've been following what's going on in the Middle East. That things are just completely degrading. We knew when President Trump got out of the Iran deal that it was a matter of time before things went completely nuts. That's what's happened. In the time since then, Israel has lined up tanks on the border of Syria in the Golan Heights. Syria has started launching missiles into that area, so Israel has started firing back, which they absolutely should.
But wasn't that done on purpose, the deal?
What, getting out of it?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
So you don't think that maybe that was like a little straw? Bing!
This is my simple analysis of what happened with the Iran deal.
It's like stepping from between. Okay, you're between two people that hate each other. But now I'm just going to go ahead and step back.
The Iran deal was garbage from the outset. And
I agree.
people want to argue the merits of it or whatever, and it was really...
It's appeasement.
It was a neutered version of taking actual action, and it was completely worthless.
Yeah.
It was making a deal with someone so you could say you made a deal with them, but it actually didn't have any teeth to it.
And then send them money.
It was completely neutered. And so I have no problem with us getting out of it. The reason why I think we got out of it now, and the reason why it matters from a geopolitical standpoint, especially in the Middle East and the way that things are set up there right now, is that we have heard for the last, and I know we're getting back into the Trump thing, and you can like it or hate it, but he's still your president.
It doesn't matter what you think.
Suck it up and deal with it.
We don't care what you think.
So this is what it boils down to. Donald Trump, whether you love him or hate him, agree with what he's doing or not, has told you since day one what he's going to do. Now, he's flip-flopped on a couple of things, and he's made some promises he didn't fulfill. But maybe he hasn't fulfilled them yet. That's not a final status of being. But he said straight up, he's not going to appease all of the people that want him to do certain things in the Middle East, and that's great. And what has he said during the campaign trail, during his time as president, that's made people the most angry? And I still don't know why it's made him the most angry.
He's going to make America great again.
Even simpler than that, he said America first. And people went nuts, and I said, "Well, he's the president of America. Shouldn't he be America first?"
He's not what. He's not a global president.
Yes, that just makes sense. It would be America first. So, I think that what he has done here is he has made a decision that is America first. This deal does not benefit the United States, so he's getting out of it. I think that it is playing the long game and looking at it and saying, well, if we need to get out of this deal and impose sanctions and cripple what they're trying to do long term, because that makes us safer long term. The short term implications are, I think Iran looks at it and says, we have nothing to lose here. Yeah. And we basically want Israel to die, so now we can go in and start firing and doing what we want because we've got nothing to lose anyway. Getting out of this deal also makes Iran's president a lame duck president. It takes all of his power away. His big accomplishment of kind of getting one over on the West is now gone.
Is he still the one they've had forever now? Who's that?
Well, the Ayatollah Khomeini has been in office for a long time. The president used to be Ahmadinejad, who was just a lunatic. Now it's Rouhani, who was, I think, for the most part, viewed to be more moderate. I don't think he is more moderate. I just think that his speech is more moderate. Ahmadinejad didn't hide anything.
He didn't care. Yeah.
No, he said whatever he wanted to say. So the main thing is, we are, right now, it is May 9th. May 14th is the 70th anniversary of the rebirth of the nation of Israel, officially in 1948. That is a big deal. On that same day, the United States is moving the embassy to Jerusalem. Several other companies, Czech Republic has announced they're moving their embassy to Jerusalem. Paraguay today announced they're moving theirs. Don't think that's lost on all of the enemies of the Jewish nation.
Oh, yeah.
That has now become a target. And what really stood out to me, Steve, is that after all of the talk, all of the hype, the decision-making that went into doing this, it was announced just, I think, a couple of days ago, Trump announced he's not going to be there whenever all of this happens. So it's not, to me, he doesn't care. My question is, do they know that there is an imminent threat? posed to this event, to this series of events that could be a major problem.
Oh, there's going to be. I mean, it just depends how many.
So that concerns me. But right now, all I'm seeing is I'm getting update after update after update on my phone. Large-scale attacks. Israel took out a convoy of Iranian weapons headed toward the border to be used yesterday.
Oh.
Now they're starting to shoot missiles in again. Israel has fired up even more things. There's and it's being called this too. It's being termed a large-scale conflict right now. So Israel's going in with the intent to finish this. If Iran starts shooting back a lot of stuff, we may see full-scale war by the end of the week.
Well, the thing about it is there's been, I mean, smaller-scale conflicts than this that have been considered war already.
Yes.
So it is.
The Lebanon conflict in 2006 was considered to be a full-scale war, and it did not get a whole lot further than this stage then.
Yeah.
What happened in Gaza in 2014 was kind of the same way. This has the potential, however, to be prophetically significant. And I say that as someone who wrote a book on Bible prophecy, but this has the potential to fulfill Isaiah 17. This has the potential to be tied into Zechariah chapter 12. And all of those things that were prophesized, those prophecies were made 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 years ago, and now here they are, not generally fulfilled. They're going to be literally fulfilled. We're watching that happen now. And when you realize that from that standpoint, according to what the Bible says, all of human history is going to come down to one set of events at one period of time ever. And we're in it right now. Here we are. Everybody get ready. That's not a small thing. Mm-hmm. And we need to, I think, fully grasp what's happening. So that's what I've been following. And I kind of toss away any interest in geopolitics now because I hate politics. And well, that's not accurate. I don't hate politics. I hate politicians, Steve.
And that's politics,
I hate politicians. I absolutely detest them. So I'm trying to stay away from it, and I care far more about what's going on with Israel because it all comes down to them anyway.
It's like being in a wedding and like politicians, right? Being in a wedding and like being a bridesmaid or something.
That's accurate. Got a little...
And making it all about you.
There we go. A little bit of an audio cable issue.
It wasn't my turn to speak. It was like...
No, it was over here. It wasn't censoring you, I promise.
Damn it, bro.
But I'm trying to keep an eye out on those things because I'm far more concerned with what's going on with them than what's going on with us because we're surrounded by idiots and I can't take anymore. The other good news is we're talking about evil attacking good, which is Iran attacking Israel.
Yeah.
Well, we've also had an invasion in our local area today because Virginia Tech came to Morgantown to play West Virginia. And the Hokies getting beaten by West Virginia in baseball. Last I saw it was 8-5. I'm trying to get an update. It is final. West Virginia beats Virginia Tech 10-5 in baseball tonight. Had the good sense to record it. I watched the first 3 innings or so, and we were up 7 runs, so I can go back and watch the rest of that later. But I bring up Virginia Tech for a reason, Steve. And the reason I bring them up is because we have in the past done a Virginia Tech update, and that's something we reference when the Hokies start hokying.
Hokying around.
You know, they do what Hokies do, and you have to be aware of that.
But hide your children.
Well, who wasn't? I can't remember that guy's name. Is it Antoine something? You better hide your kids, hide your wife, or whatever. Well, they've done it again, and we kind of knew they would do it again because the Hokies are always up to something. And I know people are thinking, "Oh, you're just being mean. You don't really mean it." Being aimed at Virginia Tech. Well, you know, I kind of do. Oh my gosh, Steve, describe the meme. I'm looking for something on my phone. Describe the meme that you just showed me.
Okay, it's a roll of toilet paper, which it appears maybe to be like in a public bathroom setting, and it says, "What would MacGyver do?" What would MacGyver do?
In that situation, what would MacGyver do? That's a very important point. That's something you would need to ask. And that's a running joke for a lot of comedians. I've never been in that situation.
MacGyver?
Oh, I've MacGyvered a lot of stuff. I've never been in the toilet paper problematic situation before. Mm-hmm. So I can't honestly tell you what I would do. And I'm thankful I've never been put in that position. I'm going to look for one more thing, and if I can't find it, I don't think I'm going to be able to find it, and that's unfortunate. See, this is what happens when you do stuff in real time. You start forgetting about some of the stuff that you need to be able to pull up on the fly. I didn't think I was going to... It's my own fault. I didn't think I was going to have to do a Virginia Tech update today.
But then you took a breath and you're like, oh, I'm breathing.
Well, and then I went back and realized, we haven't done a show in a little bit. So, yeah, I'm probably going to have to do a Virginia Tech update. So, here's what we're going to do. We're going to bring you this, and you can make a decision for yourself. Was this overblown? Was it a big deal? I've purposely kept this away from Steve. I've purposely not told him what this was. But it's totally true. We will post a link to it on the page, for this episode, and you can make the decision for yourself. So instead of playing the theme song from Cops, we're going to play something a little bit more appropriate for the Virginia Tech campus. I think this will be fitting. If any of you have ever been to Blacksburg and seen the Virginia Tech campus, lots of beautiful buildings. But you know what?
Beautiful setting.
Lots of cow pastures. Lots of cows. So anytime any of them make fun of WVU or the state of West Virginia, just remember, your school exists in a cow pasture. It is time for another Virginia Tech update. This happened during our hiatus. Steve, you don't know what this is, but I do. You ready?
Yes.
All right. Courtesy of iHeartRadio, although this was all over the media. Every news service, ESPN had it. Dateline Blacksburg. I'm reading this verbatim. The Virginia Tech women's lacrosse team faced much backlash over the weekend when a controversial video of them singing a song that had the N-word went viral. Yeah, see, that's actually true. Not only were they singing it, they were really emphasizing that certain word that a bunch of rich white college girls playing lacrosse probably should not be emphasizing.
No, it's not good.
And but this is the other thing. This was how they celebrated after winning a game. They had gone somewhere and won a game. But Steve, the video was only 13 seconds long.
It's long enough.
But that's not my point. The video was only 13 seconds long. Well, I'm sure the song is a lot longer than 13 seconds.
Yeah.
So they specifically made the video for that period of time just to video them singing that part of the song.
Ugh.
And then you have to realize this.
They weren't playing Grambling State or anything like that.
I don't think they were playing. I don't think they were playing Grambling or Southern.
Southern, yeah.
But here's the other thing. They weren't live streaming. Somebody had to make the decision to put this thing on the internet. Who is the tone-deaf idiot in our current society that said, you know what I'm going to do? That video of us singing a song full of ethnic slurs, I'm putting this on the internet. Why not just recite the entire Clayton Bigsby sketch verbatim for the world to see and then laugh about it? And let me preface this. I think the Clayton Bigsby sketch is probably the most brilliant piece of sketch comedy ever created, because 95% of the people who watch it completely miss the point that Chappelle is trying to get across whenever he produces that piece. But does it make you laugh? Yes. Am I going to make a video of me screaming those words and post it on the internet? No, because I would like to have some type of a career and a life beyond this. And beyond that point moving forward. So yeah, that's what happened. Thank you for the clear thinking and the process of thought that led to this, Virginia Tech, because you never disappoint me when it comes to doing entertaining, stupid.
Can't stop.
Is that not just Virginia Tech behavior to its core?
I know a couple people who went to Virginia Tech, and that is behavior to its core.
I would say so.
Yeah.
The other thing we're going to talk about, it's a little bit of an abbreviated episode tonight because we're getting back into the swing of things, and really we're just teasing what's going to be happening in the next few episodes, because we are going to try to get an episode put together probably every week to
I like
10
to do one every week, every 10
week
days.
to 10 days as far as getting them produced and edited and out. We're going to start doing a new segment on the show whenever we can. It probably won't be every episode, but whenever we have guests, or we may just have a guest brought in specifically to do this segment. And it's going to be just a simple little interview segment called On the Spot. And we're going to put people on the spot. We're going to talk to them about life, about their life. We're going to ask them questions. We're going to do some word association and get to know people on a little bit of a deeper level. And we've already got Dave Markert agreed to be the first one to be put on the spot. Steve, I gave you a few of the questions just as kind of a teaser and get your feedback on it. I know you're going to throw in a few as well to ask him, but I think this is going to be an interesting segment, and it's going to allow us to get to know some people a little better, and it'll be great. I think it makes it more personal for us.
Oh, yeah.
It makes it a more personal experience for them, and it makes it a more personal experience for the listener who's listening in, because now you get to know not just what someone does, but a little better who they are. So, what do you think about doing this going forward? Is there anybody that we've had on or we've talked about having on that you're kind of looking forward to getting to know them a little better through a segment like this?
Actually, to tell you the truth,
or do you want to do it? You want me to ask you a question?
I would like it to be completely like somebody I know, but not even really talk to that much. Just, just call them and be like, "Hey, what's up?" You know.
So you want to what? You want to do this ambush style like we did?
I like the ambush style the best. I mean, I'm sure we'll get hung up on a few times.
Yeah, we may do that.
And we could actually, just maybe even randomly pick somebody like out of a phone book if they even exist anymore.
Well, there are still phone books, but the phones that most people use don't have them listed in the phone book. So we could just randomly dial numbers, but I think that's almost actionable these days. I think this will be fun. I think it's going to be an element that you don't generally hear being put out there that much. I've said this for years, and we've had this conversation, that the stories of everyday people tend to be far more interesting and far more educational and impactful and inspirational, or they can act as warnings way more than reading another biography from another celebrity. I've read some celebrity biographies. Reading Andre Agassi's autobiography called Open is one of the best things I've ever read. Mm-hmm. But that's not the majority. You read a lot of them, and it's the same vapid idiocy in every book. I was a kid, and it's one of two options. Either I was poor or I was a child of privilege. Nobody was ever in the middle. It was one of those two. And then they either had a great childhood or a bad one. They became famous as a kid or as an adult. Invariably, those come back to the same point. They got on drugs and ruined their life and got married 4 times. And now they're off drugs and went through rehab, and they're feeling better, but the career sucks, so they had to write the book to become relevant again and let all the skeletons out of the closet that they wouldn't have dared talk about when they were actually famous.
Yeah. That sounds pretty on the spot, actually.
And it's a flow chart, and I don't have any interest in reading what amounts to celebrity Mad Libs.
That sucks.
So I would rather talk to some people who have some
real life experience.
I think that's the best way to put it. And they have stories that they may be funny to them. They may mean a lot to somebody who's listening, or vice versa. It may be something that they think is meaningful and we think is kind of stupid, and we laugh at them, which I'm not saying that would happen ever.
If it does, but who cares?
Yeah, who cares? But there's,
if you don't like it, then
there's so much potential, and we've got so many friends, just people that we know that like to sit down and talk and be open, and we can ask some things, and we can ask some follow-ups, and then they can ask for our input on things. There's so many options there that I think would be good for a listener to just sit down, and maybe something will hit them hard from one of these things, and they just kind of look at it and say, yeah, I'm not alone on that. I've had something similar to that happen to me, and I thought it was a big deal, and it turns out it's not. So I think it'll be fun. I'm just glad that I don't have to sit here. You heard some of the questions. I'm glad I
like them.
I'm glad I don't have to sit back and answer all of these. Because if I did, oh gosh, the stuff that would come out, we'd be here for 3 hours while I'm answering all of these things.
Yeah, because you'd definitely be dissecting.
Well, you're not just going to get an answer. You're going to get my reasoning.
Yeah, there has to be a reason behind every answer. It just can't be an answer.
You would think some of these things would be simple, but that's kind of what we're looking for, man. Is we're looking for answers that are thoughtful, and we look at them and say, yeah, this is my answer, but maybe now I'm not so sure.
Yeah.
So let's examine the road that you have to take to get there. And that's what I'm looking forward to. We'll do that. I've got a few names in mind already, and hopefully we'll probably get that done on the next episode. We'll probably have our first on the spot.
Stephanie has to be involved as well. We have to do it.
Okay, so
she's the character. She's now a character. She's a character in my life.
Well, see, I was a big fan of Frasier. That was one of my favorite shows. Do you ever watch Frasier?
Yeah, I like Frasier pretty good.
I remember Niles at the start of the show.
His little brother,
was married. Right? Yes, was married to Maris, and you always heard about Maris, but you never actually saw Maris or heard Maris. That's kind of where we're headed with Stephanie, because she always comes up, but nobody's ever heard from her yet. But that day, I'm afraid, will come, and when she finally comes on here and lets it fly, it's going to be probably the greatest thing either
She's
of us have
actually
ever
a funny
produced.
girl, and she.
She's fantastic,
yeah,
and she's personable, and
very shy type person, but I think it'd be good for her. I've been working on this with her forever.
you can't be shy on this show because it will. You can either open up or it will be dragged out of you, and that's the best part of this show. And we're nothing if not educational, Steve. We know that. Yeah, I tell you
You're
what.
more of the educator. I'm more of the
You're more of a what?
a cell killer. I kill cells.
Okay, so what do you mean when you say that she needs to be involved in this? Are you saying she needs to be an on-the-spot guest?
I think an on-the-spot guest would
You
be
think
really
so?
good. I
All
think
right.
it'd be fun.
Well, just to protect my interests, you're going to write about 50% of the questions, and then she can figure out which ones you wrote.
Doesn't matter. I'm just gonna go straight off the top of my head. I'm not gonna write anything down. I'm just gonna just free ball on her. Just see what she thinks about it. Just some things that I know I'll get her pissed off and maybe possibly hang up on, like at the end.
Well, okay, first of all, I'm afraid. Second of all, you're saying she's not going to be live. She's going to be on the phone when we're doing this.
Oh yeah, no, we're gonna do it cold call. We're gonna cold call her.
Oh my god!
I'm like, what are you doing? I hear kids in the background. Are they?
Do you
getting...
realize that now every time you leave the house, she's going to be terrified to answer the phone if you call?
Well, she's been asking about this.
Asking
Because
about what?
Because we talk, but we don't talk a lot. So she listens to every one of these shows.
And by
to
the
see
way,
what's
thank
going
you.
on in my life.
Thank you for listening to it. I hope you share it. I hope you're proud of what we're doing too.
She likes it.
It's a lot of fun.
But
I'm
she
glad you
also
like
she has to get information every way that she can.
oh, of course.
It's nice to.
I think we all need to go bowling again and record that.
Actually, we have tickets for Saturdays to go, so we should go Saturday one day.
That'd be fun.
I think it'd be fun.
We can do that and record some segments while we're there, and just randomly drop them into the show.
And if I can get a hold of them, I've already asked the people up there if their fried mushrooms are done in animal fat. If there's any breading or anything, they can't answer me. But I love fried mushrooms.
How could you not answer that? That's your job.
How can you not know?
You don't know what kind of oil you're cooking things
And
in.
it kind of pisses me off.
Oh, how stupid.
But
Well, we can forget getting sponsored by the bowling place that we're not going to name
But,
right now. But
the
yeah.
omelet shop actually is pretty good, except for one day they kind of pissed me off because I asked them if they were instant grits, and they said no, and then I heard one of the fellas in the back say, "What you don't know won't hurt him." I was like, "You son of a bitch. Tastes a little too buttery for me." But, yeah, I think it'll be fun having her on there. I mean, there's a couple other people I want to throw I think are kind of interesting that we don't necessarily both know.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that they would... they could add some a different spin on people that have been in different parts of their lives, other parts of the world.
Sure.
Different types of, anxieties and things like that. So I think it would be good.
There are so many experiences that we all face, that we all deal with. And yet I think we manage to convince ourselves that we're the only ones who deal with it, or we're the only ones who deal with it this way. Or maybe we're the only ones who are passionate about something. Mm-hmm. We're the only ones who like something or whatever. And that's not the case. And one thing that we do, I think too often, entertainment's guilty of this, politics thrives on it, is we focus exclusively on our differences.
Yeah, that's
we
bad.
love to do that. You can't be funny unless you're broken. You can't do certain things unless you look a certain way, talk a certain way, whatever. And yet, what you find the more you talk to people is that we all have so much more in common than we do in contrast with each other. And a perfect example of that for me, especially in a culture that is so overly politicized and everyone's perpetually offended and it's voluntary victimhood everywhere you look. Mm-hmm. One thing that I have experienced personally, I have a lot of friends and some family that are absolutely other side of the political spectrum for me. We don't agree on 90% of political issues.
Yeah.
I'm a very conservative guy, a lot of libertarian in there, but I'm a very conservative person, and they are on the left wing, almost socialist in what they believe. And yet we're very good friends. We still care about each other. We still love each other.
That's okay.
And the way that you do it is you decide, hey, I'm going to be an adult. I'm going to understand that if I argue with this person, I am not going to change their mind. Mm-hmm. They are not going to change my mind. This is a completely useless exercise at this point. We had an election a year and a half ago, roughly, and you had people that were getting on social media, getting on anything that they could, getting on their soapbox and telling people about the friendships that they ended and the family members they're not talking to because somebody voted for a candidate that they don't like. You know what I've done with the people in my life, and I know you've done the same thing. Okay, we don't agree politically. Well, we're just going to talk about the things that we have in common. We'll talk about sports. We'll talk about food. We'll talk about things that have nothing to do with all that stuff because really, it doesn't matter.
But even if I don't think I have that in common with them, and I know that I don't, I still want to know why they think why they do.
Sure, and you can have a discussion. There are far too many people that are more interested in a monologue than a dialogue. Mm-hmm. If you can converse and you can talk and keep it respectful and come away from it saying, I love you, everything's great, we don't agree on this, but that's cool. Hey, I'll see you at the game in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That's great. You're finding common ground. We don't have enough of that anymore. And I think that we can discover the commonality in this interview segment and getting to know people on a better level, and we can have listeners feel like they're deeper into it as well. So I think we'll have a lot of fun with it, and that's something I'm really interested in getting going. But as far as this episode, well,
I'm sorry.
I think we have done about all that we can do. We're just kind of shaking the rust off everybody and enjoying the craziness that's been going on.
See, that scared me just now. That's how...
Man, you are out.
I was like, ugh.
You are out of practice. It's another song by the 126ers to close us out. It's been fun doing episode 10. We'll be back soon, we promise, with episode 11. Steve, it's been fun, my friend.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Until next time, I'm Brad. That's Steve. This has been Apex Live. Good night, America. Wherever you are.